The Blue Jewel.
Chapter 11. Part 4. The Devourer recovered. He was not an easy opponent to beat. Besides, the sword had been shattered, it was a piece of useless metal. The Devourer advanced towards Agnorok, wanted revenge. The calm in the room ended. Everyone tried to escape again, except for the mercenaries and Jumel. Agnorok did not expect the Devourer to be so fast. He could not stand even 2 coats of the vaporous being, who ended up grabbing him. Agnorok let go of what was left of the sword. The pain was unlike anything I had suffered before, even though the ranges of pain I had experienced were very wide. He felt how his soul was stretched, and his life was quickly sucked out of him. Although Agnorok kicked and defended himself with all his might, little by little he felt how cold darkness spread throughout his body. Arian opened his eyes. He wasn't in the big hall of white robes. It was another place, a quiet place with a warm and soft lawn that seemed to have no end. Far away there was a man, tall, with a golden manner. He was sitting with his eyes closed. It was Elaban. Arian approached the god slowly and knelt in front of him. Elaban opened his eyes, bright blue like jewels, yet something in his eyes was very familiar. But an image came to his mind. It was Aris lying on the ground and Agnorok who was screaming intensely while a horrible being was holding him. Arian had to do something. Elaban's eyes shone so brightly that they blinded her. He felt an electric shock, a tremendous power. The jewels that were floating began to rotate around his body. Arian sat up and took Elaban's triumph, then aimed it at the Soul Eater. A blue bolt of lightning hit the terrifying being, who screamed again, and this time this scream altered all of Tripulia. The Devourer of Souls disappeared, leaving Agnorok in the air. The poor half-orc fell heavily on the ground and then writhed in pain. Fedoras was pale. This was not possible, so many years wasted. Gosberg pounced on him. Now he could do it. Everyone was watching Arian as he rose through the room. No one would notice. With both hands he grabbed the old wizard's head, and his eyes turned bright blue. The magician's head exploded, covering the Denka with traces of blood, brain, and bones, and he did not flinch. The body of his rival fell heavily like a sack of beans, which he kicked well. There was no time for more. Arian took the triumph of Elaban again, lifted it to the sky, and as Krytos would later describe it, all went to the great chasm where the trolls relieved themselves. The tower exploded completely. Everything from the dome upwards evaporated, scattered in 1,000 fragments that fell on the unfortunate inhabitants of Tripulia. There are many books and treatises on this event, since it is a topic of vital importance to understand the last times of the Age of the Damned. Nearby towers were damaged by the blast wave and many innocent casualties were produced by the blast. In addition to the large cloud of dust that covered Tripulia for a few days. When the dust cloud dissipated somewhat, the mercenaries stood up. Incredibly, he had survived the explosion. Many mags lay dead next to the decapitated body of their Grand Master. Others lay wounded or disoriented. Kush and Gosberg walked up to Agnorok, who was on the ground panting, the Denka slapping the half-orc on the back. Incredible! Agnorok. You are the first mortal to injure a Soul Eater. Agnorok did not speak. His gaze was fixed on another scene. Arian had recovered. He tried to revive Aris, who lay unconscious on the ground. The young woman had her eyes covered in tears, while with Elaban's triumph she massaged the chest of the half-orc. After 5 minutes Aris opened her mouth and eyes. Arian left the jewel and hugged him. And then kiss. Agnorok lowered his head. He was surrounded by the rest of the mercenaries. He was a legend, but the half-orc did not listen to them. He spat out a little blood. I'm an idiot. In the end the cloud dissipated, at least at that height of the great tower. The sun greeted them cordially. Before them were the rest of the towers of the city, some with serious damage, but more or less all seemed to be safe. Kush ordered the remaining mercenaries to search for the blue jewels, and they did not stop until they found all of them and put them in a safe place.